My name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef here.
And I'm Stephanie Gladman, the registered dietitian. So welcome back from your holidays. In today's class, we're going to be focusing on some food and nutrition cooking tips for cancer-related fatigue. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that, as a dietitian, I discuss quite a lot with patients. It's a very common side effect. Most people think that, during treatment, the effects of being tired is, obviously normal, and they factor that in. But cancer-related fatigue is one of those symptoms that can be persistent. And a lot of people don't think about that in that ways. And obviously there's different reasons as to why fatigue occurs. Sometimes it's post-surgery. It could be because of the treatment itself. It could be medications that you're taking. It also could be in terms of nutrition. Sometimes some deficiencies that occur. But generally speaking, food can help. It's one of those puzzle pieces in helping with the fatigue. And it is one of those things that's, like I said, persistent. And it also can be physically, emotionally, and mentally draining. Okay. So in today's class, we've designed some specific recipes to help cope, bringing in those nutrition factors. I will go over my 5 top things that I want you to keep in mind. The first thing is eating regularly, so every 3 to 4 hours. The other one is balanced meals. The third is getting enough fiber. We'll talk about why that's the case, enough protein, and keeping hydrated. Okay, so these are kind of the 5 main tips that you're going to want to think about as we go, but we're going to break it down and kind of go a little bit deeper as we go through all of our recipes.
Absolutely. And regarding the recipes today, we were actually asked quite a bit for some more snacks, some more healthy snacks. So typically in the class, we usually break it down by like an appetizer, like a main, almost like if you're eating out, I guess, and a dessert. Today we really want to focus on some of those smaller meals, those snacks, things that you can maybe make in batch or in bulk, you can store really easily, and then sort of, like Stephanie mentioned, eat regularly throughout the day, and these are great sort of things to take with you as well. Okay, so jumping right into it, our first recipe, we're actually going to be making crackers, which seems very simple. And yes, is it easier to just buy crackers? Yes, but that wouldn't be a very exciting cooking class either. So we're going to show you how to make a version, and it's pretty simple to do. And the ingredients aren't super complicated, but they might be new to you as well. So what we're doing is we're using a flour that comes from chickpeas. This is pretty much ground dried chickpeas. This is chickpea flour. Has anyone used chickpea flour before? No, excellent. Okay, so it's actually becoming more and more accessible. They have it in most grocery stores I've been to. You should have it there. I've seen it in a lot of bulk stores as well. I know Kensington has a few spots with chickpea flour. Pretty accessible, pretty cheap. It's just the chickpeas dried and ground, so there's no gluten in there. Not that you can use any flour for this, by the way. You can use it definitely like an all-purpose flour or like any other bean or nut flour. We're using chickpea. And then we're also using some ground pumpkin seeds, which I thought, why not? It's a cool color. And all you do is pulse them in a blender or like a food processor just until they're ground. And they almost resemble like either a coarse flour or like a very fine breadcrumb. And we're going to do 1 cup of that. So 1 cup of the chickpea flour, 1 cup of the pumpkin seed flour. You can use any ground nuts or seeds. You can pulse up sunflower seeds, or you can pulse up almonds. You can use almond flour. Any of them work. Or if you just want to do straight up chickpea flour, you can do that as well. Yeah. The reason that we're adding the pumpkin seeds is because it's going to give you a little bit more fat in the cracker so that it's not completely dry. Plus we're getting some
fiber.
Yeah, awesome.
So first tip, well actually it was the third because I mentioned eating regularly, balanced meals, and incorporating fiber. So there is research to showcase and suggest that eating at least 25 grams of fiber per day can help with cancer-related fatigue. So what is 25 grams of fiber. If you think about like, you know, half a cup of a cup of berries would give you about 3 grams of fiber. Okay, 1 slice of bread might give you 2 grams of fiber. Okay, so you know every cracker, every fruit is different. You could always look on the label, but just to give you an idea, that might seem like a lot, but if you're incorporating this throughout your day, you know you're kind of allowing for you know, by having whole grains, by having nuts and seeds, fruit and vegetables, beans and lentils, by eating these types of foods throughout the day, you're pretty much guaranteed to get the fiber that you need. Okay? Now, if you are someone who is, you know, you don't have that much fiber in your diet, kind of take a little assessment of yourself. And if you're noticing, well, wow, I don't have that many, you know, servings of vegetables or fruit, etc., go slow. Okay, so begin to incorporate these things slowly because you don't want to have any tummy trouble. So just make sure that you're moving slowly and drinking lots of water in the process.
All right, so 2 cups in total. 1 cup chickpea flour, 1 cup of the ground pumpkin seeds. And then this is the fun part, is you can flavor it really with whatever you want. So I have some rosemary that I've just roughly chopped up. I actually don't want to chop it up too fine because I want to see some of those pieces in there. But you can put oregano, you can put chili flakes, you know, any dried herbs, dried spices will work really, really well in here. And we're going to add a little bit of salt too. Again, the nice thing here too is that you're in control of it. So if you want a little less, you can add a little less.
Could you add like chopped pumpkin seeds? Does that have to be ground?
No, it doesn't. You do want 2 cups of ground flour stuff.
Yeah.
And that sort of, it's just sort of, it gives you sort of an even consistency. But if you want to put a few extra pieces of chopped up pumpkin seeds, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we're going to put a couple tablespoons of ground flaxseed. Again, pretty accessible. The ground flaxseed is going to help absorb any excess moisture that is sort of lingering around, so that it's, you don't have like kind of like a wet cracker, because that would not be pleasing, but it'll help it bind together. Okay, so I'm just mixing those 3 ground items up with our seasoning. That's pretty much the bulk of it. And then we're going to essentially make a dough. So I make doughs like I make pasta dough. So I create a little well in the middle. And we're going to add some olive oil. 4 tablespoons seems like a lot of olive oil to you, not to me, but it's sort of coursing through my blood as we speak. Olive oil, you can use any oil. Again, you need a little bit of fat in here, otherwise it's going to be like drywall. It's not going to taste very good. You need a little bit in there, and any oil will work. And then we're going to start mixing it together. And while I do that, Steph,
yes,
if you can slowly pour in some water, a little bit at a time. Perfect. Keep going. So you're looking at about 4 tablespoons. Okay, that's good. Or so, and I put measures on there. When I do stuff like this, I rarely measure because you really have to go by eye. And if I see that it's too wet, which I do see that it's too wet, then I'm gonna add.
I put too much water. Sorry.
No, that was my fault. But this is good. This is good that we messed up so that you know exactly how to fix it. If it's too dry, you add a little bit more water. If it's too wet, so this is just a touch too wet because I want it to form it into a ball, just add a little bit more flour, okay? Just until it sort of combines together like this, and it's not really sticking to my hand, but it's wet. That's what I'm looking for. So that's pretty much what I want. That's pretty much what we're looking for. We have this dough. You can even freeze it if you don't want to make all of it now. So I'm just going to go with half of it. And I'm going to put it on a piece of parchment paper. Just kind of gently press it down with the palm of my hand. And then I'll take another piece of parchment paper on top. Okay? And then I'm going to get the pin or your mason jar or whatever you have that will roll across. And you want to get it to about 1/8 of an inch thick. I don't know if anyone knows exactly what an eighth of an inch thick is, unless you get a ruler out. But you want it pretty much as thin as you want the cracker, because it's going to stay
it's not going to
that
rise.
thickness. No. So if you like a thicker cracker, go a little bit thicker. If you like a thinner cracker, you can go a little bit thinner. Yeah. And this parchment just really saves you from making a mess. On the
roller.
On the roller, on your hands, on your cutting board, because cleanup is also something we want to reduce, because we don't want to be spending too much time, especially if you aren't feeling like you have a ton of energy. All right, so that feels good to me. Yeah, nice, beautiful. So I'll unravel that. Now, if it still feels like a little too soft, or it's very, very sticky, you can even put this in the freezer for like 5-10 minutes just to firm up a little bit, because it'll be a lot easier to sort of handle at that point. But otherwise, you can go for it. And again, this is the fun part too. If you like circle crackers, you can cut like little circles into it. Mm-hmm. You can cut them to whatever shape you want. You suggest
cutting before you bake.
Cut before you bake. You will not be able to make shapes. You'll make shapes, just not the ones you want after. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's pretty much it. And then we can get our little baking tray. And again, these ones, I like the irregular look to it.
Yeah.
But you just put them all on top of your baking tray.
And can you freeze it once you bake it?
After you bake it, yes, you can freeze it. Yeah, you can freeze the leftovers. It's dry. There's going to be very little moisture in there, so they'll last a lot longer. For sure, you can keep them in an airtight container out as well.
Yeah, and this is a really great idea, like crackers, you know, just kind of bringing them in your purse or in your bag for when you're out on the go as a snack. You know, they could be obviously incorporated into a meal, but they don't have to be. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I hear from a lot of patients that sometimes it's difficult for them to eat while they're out, or they forget. So it's just a little bit about preparing the night before, kind of grabbing things, putting a little kind of lunch or snack bag together, so that you can have healthy food on the go and make those choices in order to help with your own well-being.
All right, so those came out pretty good. That goes into the oven, 350 degrees for about 18 to 20 minutes. Everyone's oven is going to be a little bit different. So again, we're going by look. We want it to be a little golden brown, and you can sort of flip them halfway through, just so you get even browning on both sides. And magic oven, obviously made some earlier. And so that's sort of how it turns out, right? These ones are made a little bit thicker because what's nice is you can, like Steph mentioned, you can put like peanut butter on top of this.
Yeah.
Or,
cheese.
Cheese. Yeah. And these.
Tuna.
And they hold
egg.
up. Yeah, they hold up really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice. You can flavor them the way you like to flavor them.
Nice.
What should we put on here? Maybe we'll put some avocado on this one.
Cream cheese, yeah.
Cream cheese. I love avocado.
Yeah.
And it so happens that I cut up an entire bowl of it, so might as well use it. A little bit of lime juice on the avocado, it just prevents it from browning. And then if you just have some like perfectly circled onions lying around, you can
just use them.
Throw them on there as well. This is just an example. So we take it from the cracker, but you can do whatever you want from it, whatever you want with it from that point.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Cool.
First
Great.
recipe
Looks
down.
good.
Yes.